Well, I'm supposed to be at belly dancing class right now, and instead of that, I still have my belly dancing top on. I just didn't think it was gonna be so busty. Let me see if I can find a safety pin. Stay right there. Okay, that's a little better. So, yes, I could have taken it off, but there's no way I'm taking it off. Orange is one of my favorite colors, and there's a reason why I'm wearing this today. And the reason why I'm wearing this today is because of this. We will get to the explanation in a second. Now, some of you know that I was recently in Connecticut and New York for Yale graduation and to visit my family back east. And to also see Nick's family, but that was a bust. We did get to see his childhood home and the hospital where he was born, and we got to go to Pepe's Pizzeria in New Haven, Connecticut, and we got to go to Yale graduation. If you want to check out any of those videos, I would really, really appreciate it. I will link the playlist down below so you can check it out. If you watch nothing else, please watch the Pepe's Pizzeria video because that is so, so dear to my heart. But one of the most important things that happened to me, it's almost hard for me to explain. And I haven't had a chance to really dive into this whole story since we got back because I just didn't know when I would take the time or how to weave the thread. And I realized this is going to be more of a vlog style, talking head style video. And I've made a few of those recently with not a ton of B-roll, but I do plan to insert some B-roll here if I still have it. And I haven't even looked before I started making this video, but let's just say part of me healed. My inner child received a massive gift. And then my adult child received another gift. And I'll get to this in a second. See, this one's together. This one is not. So for starters, my family relocated us to Florida when I was 12 years old from upstate New York. Really, for me, it was just about leaving my friends, changing schools, trying to figure out and navigate a middle school experience in a whole new culture, climate, you name it. Florida is a totally different beast, especially compared to up north, back east. Different architecture, different climate, different everything. You know, it's a whole new world. And you and I both know that 12 is an incredibly impressionable age, right? Incredibly. Well, up until then, in my early childhood, my family owned a really tiny little house. It was absolutely charming. It was the original one-room schoolhouse of our little town of, I think at the time there were like 3,000 people in the town. I think now there might be 5,000, 40 years later, whatever. Let's just say it's a tiny town. Well, that little one-room schoolhouse had a lot of history and stories and folklore attached to it. And my room kind of was the hotbed of maybe haunted or paranormal activity, or at least that's what I was led to believe as a small child from my older cousin, let's just say. But it was a kind of thing that really left a huge impression on me. And that room, the house backed up to some dense, thick forest. And in that forest, lots of memories, spent a lot of time traipsing around that forest as a kid with my two next door neighbors and one of the dogs. And I had one of those pull down shades where it was just one of those pull down and release shades. And I remember the tree branches casting these like shadows on the shade every night when I went to sleep. And at the foot of my bed, the door to the attic was right at the foot of my bed. So every night when I went to sleep in my tiny little room, which wasn't much bigger than a walk-in closet, I stared at this door that had this staircase that went up to the attic. And supposedly some horrible things happened up in that attic. And my cousin used to tell me when I was a little kid that he used to see a figure of a man watching me sleep at night. Right? Like, scary. So you've got the dense woods, you've got the shadows, you've got the attic door, you've got the stairs to the attic, and you've got this shadowy figure watching you when you sleep at night. Not to mention the downstairs basement that was unfinished with dripping water and a staircase that had slatted stairs. So it felt like when you ran down the stairs to pull the light switch, which was just a dangling thread from a light bulb swinging from the ceiling, you just felt like there was going to be somebody under there to grab your ankles from somewhere in the depths of the basement. It was murky and drippy and musty and just that unfinished wet basement that has that peculiar petrichor odor that's not quite the lovely smell of rain, but it's just like this damp earth and exposed stone, exposed wet stone, just lingering. And you got that whiff every time you open the basement door. And yeah, I know kids' imaginations run wild, I get that. But this house just felt so heavy, and I didn't realize fully to the extent of my inner childhood trauma that I held all these years. So fast forward to this trip, and one of my aunties who still lives in the neighborhood in that small, tiny town actually befriended the people who bought the house from my parents back in 1986. And while we were in New York visiting with everyone, she arranged a surprise. And the surprise was she let us go visit the lady, and the lady let us into the house. That's the attic door that I stared at every night before I went to bed. This is all added on. My wall stopped right here, and they added this area on. And there's Nikki, my room. So I got to revisit that scary house from my childhood, go inside my room, touch that attic door, open up that basement, and see it with fresh, wise, adult, grown-up eyes, and let that trauma, if we're going to call it that, just let it go. And I can't tell you what an unbelievable gift that was. That day will live in infamy in my life. And there's no way I could ever repay my auntie for that experience, or the owner of the house for serving us espresso and Italian pastries in my old dining room as a kid, giving us a full tour, 700 square foot house. But they're the owners that bought it from my parents. And I got to go into the kitchen, and I got to see the bathroom, our only bathroom, and go into my parents' old bedroom and spend time in the living room. And I think one of the things that really stands out in my mind the most is that the woman of the house looked at me and she said, "That door jamb was you." And what she meant by that is, did you live in a house when you were growing up where in the door jamb of like your bedroom door, your parents like marked your growth chart? So they would stand you up in the corner and mark your height with a little pencil mark, and then the date and maybe your age as well. Well, when we left and we went to Florida, my parents couldn't take that door jamb off, and they didn't wipe it down or repaint it. They just kind of left in a hurry, and they left that door jamb with my height markings on there. And the lady of the house looked at me, and you could see like this light bulb go off in her mind, and she was like, "That height chart was you." And I was like, holy crap, yeah. So they had since gotten rid of it or repainted or whatever. It wasn't there anymore. But I do have a picture of me standing in the doorway, pretending I'm measuring myself in the doorway of my old bedroom. That was a heavy day, but like so important, and brought me so much levity. And to be able to set foot in that house again and stand on my front porch in the same pose that I had taken back when I was like 9 or 10 years old. I'll try to insert that picture here as well. It was just so cool. And I don't know if anyone out there has experienced being able to go inside their childhood home. I don't think it's a very common occurrence. I think this was a very rare, once in a lifetime experience. And the other thing that's really special is that the family who bought the house, they're also Italian, off the boat, speak with broken English. And the eldest son, who will inherit the house per the mom, she told us that his name is Nick, just like Nick, and spelled the same way and everything. And the Italian cookies, having her make us a Bialetti and espresso with sambuca and just the whole 9 yards, telling stories, telling us about the house, having to dig a new well, and just stories about the house. The house has so much history in the town, and with my mom's family, who owned it before my parents bought it for their own as newlyweds. And then well before I lived there, that house just has so much amazing history. And those walls, man, if those walls could talk, from, nearly a century ago, maybe more. Really, really special. I can't believe I got to stay in that house for several hours and just enjoy those walls. It's a day I definitely won't soon forget. And thank you to my auntie who made that happen, because that's a gift I could never repay. So thank you for that. So switching gears, while I was in New York, the whole family, my mom's siblings and all of my cousins and their new babies and the extended family that still lives up in that area, we had a series of parties. And at one of the parties, I made a huge mistake, and I broke my coveted special wrist strap from Mark, from the Diary of Mark G. He is a leather atelier, and if you haven't seen the original video of when he gave this to me, see, signed by Mark, I will definitely link that video of the day we met on Valentine's Day. We got to meet him and his beloved Bridget here in Albuquerque. They came here to Albuquerque and we got to meet them, and he gave me this wrist strap. And it's in my color, in orange, which is why I wanted to wear this shirt. And through my clumsiness, I had my phone in my back pocket with my wrist strap dangling out of my back pocket, and I went tearing through the kitchen, and this looped onto one of the pulls on the drawers, and it pulled completely apart. And this is not Mark's fault. This is 100% my fault. And I instantly felt my heart just sink, because this is so important to me. Not just the fact that it's orange and beautiful and leather, but that it's a gift from Mark. He made it for me expressly, and he hand delivered it all the way from St. Louis, Missouri, and gave it to me. Well, Mark, I still have it in pieces. But I sent him a message and showed him what I had done to his beautiful piece, and lickety-split, he made me a new one. Look at this. Look at the hardware he put on it. I hope you can see this. I hope it's focusing. But it clips so exquisitely perfectly onto my phone case. And it fits my hand so perfectly that my phone just dangles freely from my wrist all the time. And I can't even tell you how perfect it is. Here, I'll show you. So I just slipped it on. There it is on my wrist. And my phone is always on me. Always easy. I can just let it go and I don't have to worry about it falling. It's secure. It works like a dream, and it's my color, and it still smells divine. Oh, plus he signed it with the same pen he signed the original. So, I mean, this artist, this gentleman, is the classiest dude I've ever met. And his attention to detail is beyond exquisite and beyond detail oriented. He is an architect by trade, but this guy can do anything. And his leather work is so beautiful and so meticulously crafted that you watch his videos and you will be absolutely mesmerized. His vlogs are amazing too. So check out his channel, watch his videos. You will see the attention to detail that Mark has is otherworldly. And I sincerely appreciate his eye and the fact that he homes in on all of the details. His talent is not lost on anyone who gets to experience his craft. And I can't even believe that he helped out a klutz like me by replacing it with something even better than the first one. How? Why? I'm not worthy. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. This means so much to me. I didn't think I could love anything more than the first one that you made for me. And this one will still go in my treasure box because I'm not ready to get rid of it because this is the original. But I will have this. This is a forever piece. And it's so me. It's so me with the orange. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you. So that's the story. Maybe it's boring. Maybe you're on the edge of your seat. Maybe nobody will watch this but me and Mark. Maybe a couple of my family members. But really, this was one of those videos for me. So that I can look back and I can remember just how important that day in my childhood home was. I never will forget that day. But I also want to be able to rewatch this video and feel these emotions and choke back the tears with myself when I rewatch it. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was an incredibly powerful day. Incredibly powerful day. So let me know. Have you ever felt the desire to go inside a childhood home or maybe your grandparents' home that you spent time in as a kid? Have you ever? Would you ever walk up to one of your old homes and knock on the door and ask to go inside? Have you done that? If you have, what was it like? Did they shoo you away? Did they invite you in and serve you espresso with Zambuca and Italian cookies? Please say yes. Not telling anybody to go do that, but just wondering if you have. All right, we'll leave it there. Go drink some water or some espresso. Stay delicious. Keep living your life, and keep processing that childhood trauma. Because when you get older, sometimes you don't realize how much you need to let those emotions out and see things from an adult perspective and through older and hopefully wiser eyes. Yeah. We all have something that we need to process from our childhood, and that was probably the most cathartic thing I could have ever done for myself. And no therapy, no therapist, no conversation with anyone would ever have brought those emotions out other than going to that house and doing what I did. So thanks again to my auntie. Thanks to my parents. Thanks to Nick. Thanks to Mark. See you in the next one. Good night.